What if I told you the reason your money feels like it's just gone isn't bad luck? It's emotional habits quietly draining it without you even noticing. And the thing is, you don't need any special skills, a high-paying job, or even a complicated system to fix this. Most people do this every single day without realizing it. It usually starts with something small, like stress, boredom, or even trying to reward yourself. And that tiny moment can quietly turn into spending that adds up over time. The strategy is simple. Start noticing the feeling before you spend, because once you see the pattern, you can finally stop the leak before the money disappears. If you've ever checked your bank account and thought, wait, where did all my money go? You're not alone. This is something millions of people deal with every single month. It's not always the big purchases that hurt. It's the small, repeated decisions. The coffee when you're stressed, the delivery when you're tired, the random "I deserve this" purchases when you've had a long day. I've caught myself doing this too, especially after a long or stressful day where spending felt like a quick reward in the moment. Individually, none of these feel like a problem, but together they add up fast. According to studies on consumer behavior, a large percentage of spending decisions are made emotionally rather than logically. That means most people aren't actually spending based on need. They're spending based on how they feel in the moment. And that's where the problem starts, because when money becomes tied to emotions instead of intention, it stops being controlled and starts being drained. Over time, this leads to frustration, stress, and that sinking feeling of being stuck. You might even start thinking, I'm just bad with money, or I can't seem to get ahead. But the truth is, it's not always about how much you make. It's about what's happening emotionally in the moments before you spend. Here's the part most people miss. You don't need to completely change your lifestyle to fix this. You don't need extreme budgeting systems or complicated financial strategies. The real solution starts much smaller. It starts with awareness. Most people try to control their money by focusing on numbers, but ignore the emotional triggers behind their spending. That's why budgets fail, and that's why diets fail too, because the problem isn't the system, it's the behavior behind it. And here's the secret most people never talk about. If you can interrupt the emotional trigger before the purchase happens, you can stop the habit entirely. Not with discipline alone, but with awareness. That small shift changes everything. Think about this for a second. Have you ever had a stressful day, felt overwhelmed, and suddenly felt the urge to spend money on something? It's not random. That's your brain looking for relief. Spending money can create a temporary feeling of control, comfort, or reward. It's like a quick emotional reset button. I remember one time I went to buy something online after a frustrating day, and I didn't even really want it. I just wanted that feeling of relief for a moment. But the problem is, it's temporary, and afterward you're often left with less money and the same emotional feeling you started with. So the cycle continues. Stress, spend, relief, regret, repeat. What needs to change isn't just the spending, it's the moment before the spending, because that's where the decision actually lives. If you can pause even for just a few seconds, you can break the automatic reaction. That pause creates space, and in that space, you regain control. So how do you actually start applying this? It's simple but powerful. The first step is to notice the trigger. Before you spend anything, ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Not, do I need this? But, what emotion am I trying to satisfy? It could be stress, boredom, frustration, reward, or even habit. Just identifying the emotion creates awareness. The second step is to pause before purchasing. This is the most important step. Even a 10-second pause can interrupt the automatic behavior. During that pause, ask yourself, do I still want this after waiting a moment? Or, am I buying this for a feeling or a need? You'd be surprised how often the urge fades. The third step is to replace the habit, not just remove it. If you only try to stop spending, the habit will come back. Instead, replace it with something that satisfies the same feeling. If you're stressed, go for a walk instead of shopping. If you're bored, watch something, call someone, or change your environment. You're not removing the habit, you're redirecting it. And finally, make it slightly harder to spend. Remove saved payment methods, avoid one-click purchases, and give yourself time between deciding and buying. Even a small delay can break emotional impulse buying. Now let's make this real. Let's say you spend just $10 a day on emotional purchases. That's $70 a week, and over a year that's more than $3,500. I didn't realize how much those small purchases were adding up until I actually sat down and looked at it. It was way more than I expected. Now imagine if you redirected even half of that. That's $1,750 a year that could be saved or invested, and over time, that can grow significantly. But even more important than the money itself is the habit. Because once you control the small decisions, the bigger ones become easier. This is how people quietly build financial stability. Not through massive changes, but through consistent, small corrections. And this is where everything starts to come together. Financial success isn't just about income, it's about behavior. And behavior is built through repetition. Every time you pause before spending, question your emotion, and choose differently, you're strengthening a new habit. Over time, that habit becomes automatic. That's how you build momentum. Not by being perfect, but by being aware. Most people wait for the perfect time to start managing their money, but the truth is, there is no perfect time. There is only the moment you decide to become aware. And once you do that consistently, everything starts to shift. If your money has ever felt like it's just disappearing, now you know why. It's not just about income, it's about emotional habits. And the good news is you can start fixing this today. Not next week, not when you make more money, but right now. Start small. Start with awareness. Because once you learn how to control the moments before you spend, you stop the leak. And that's how you finally take control of your money.